Hi guys, Dave Pinson here, Philippine Bible Ministry. Interesting response I got to one of my videos. Actually, a couple of videos. I want to talk about this. My video ministry is slowly going down. It used to be, for me. I mean, I'm not trying to be. If anybody has ever watched my channel or any of my stuff on Facebook, my Philippine Bible Ministry, or any of my posts, you'll realize I don't care about the large. I'm not a fan of mega churches. I'm not a fan of organized church in general. That's they have their place, but just not a fan of the big ministry and the big grow your ministry and be powerful and be strong and be all that 40 days of purpose and then 40 days to grow your church and all that Rick Warren stuff. Which, if you look at his foundation, I'm sorry about his what happened with his son and all, but if you look at his foundation of where he came from and everything, it's all about growing community, and it's really not that much about following Jesus. It's more about building an organ. It's everything I'm opposed to, right? So as I started this channel a long time ago, I was hoping that someday I would be famous. I'll be honest with you. It's a nice idea. Everybody wants to be famous, and I was hoping that someday I would have enough viewers and enough followers that we could that the Lord would provide for the ministry here, for all these ideas and thoughts and purposes that He has for me here in the Philippines. And none of that has happened. For a while, I was up to 20 views, about 20 views a week. Once in a while, I'll have a video that hits hundreds. I mean, I had one that was almost 600, um, but normally was about 20 a week, I would say, on an average. When I say average, I'll just go with 7 days, and what was my number one view was about 20, and now it's down to it's really low. It's very low. So, so anyway, so I posted this thing about Epstein, and it really, it's because it bothered me. So when things bother me and I pray about it, I feel like, well, you should do a video on this, and you should explain why it bothers you that people are so into. It's not about him. It's not about his sin, and it's not about the horrible people and the girls and all the horrible. It's not about that. It's about the idea that everybody is jumping on this thing because it's popular. And if you look at these people that I no longer follow because of this, thousands and thousands and thousands of views, and they're making millions of dollars off this story, right? And so the whole purpose of that video was to show that there's a lot of ministries that do the same thing. Everybody wants to be viral. Everybody wants to be Wes Huff. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to go on Tucker or go on Value. What's it called? Value, what what's his name? Ben David. Anyway, Patrick Ben David. Everybody wants to go on these places and Joe Rogan and talk about Jesus or whatever. And yeah, well, I'm really growing the ministry and I have this viral ministry. And then the Lord says, no, David, remember what I told you. If one person is touched by this and becomes a disciple, it's not just. I mean, Jesus said the world will hate you because it hated me first. So the world is maybe not the same as the church, right? Right. However, the still small voice the still small voice that the changing the world for Christ one person at a time. I posted this before. I'll post it again, maybe this video that shows how you can. It's called The Power of Multiplicity by Frontier Missions. I think it's Frontier Missions, and it shows how if each believer just would bring in one new believer every year and teach them to be a disciple of Jesus, and they would bring in one new believer, that we could win this world for Christ within a generation. The whole world. They're talking about 8 billion people, but we don't even need that many, because some of those people, I hope a lot of those people are already saved. But instead of the big stadium events and the big this and the big that, and there's 5,000 people got baptized over here in South America or whatever. Instead of all that, and I'm not saying that that's bad or, but I am saying that that's not going to do it. How do I know? Because it hasn't done it thus far. I don't know that it's not going to do it, but in addition to that, he's called me to the small thing. And so he sort of tests me on that when I say I only need one, and I keep saying that. I've been saying that for a couple of years now. And so he tests me and he shrinks this video ministry and says, now what? And you know what? I don't need any, because I have the Lord. I don't need any. I don't need a bunch of followers. I don't need a bunch of subscribers. I don't need any of that. and it's a good thing. If I was dependent on that, I'd crawl under a rock somewhere, you know. Um, so that's interesting. Somebody posted when I posted that Epstein thing, I got two very interesting responses, and I'm very sensitive to my responses. By the way, I don't have thick skin; I have very thin skin. You put yourself out here in this kind of a deal. Sometimes people say really mean things. One of them was, "We can build you." It says it sounds like your message is spirit filled. However, I can help build your ministry. You know, it's a business that helps people build their online platform or profile, whatever it's called. And they said, just we really do. This is what we do. We help people build their ministries online. And I just my response was, well, God is my algorithm, and He decides how big and how vast or how small this ministry is. And I said, but I do accept. I think I said I do accept. I do accept donations of talent and time. And just dropped it right there. Like, yeah, I know you're trying to sell me something, but if you really think that it's spirit filled and you're really in tune with the spirit, then maybe you should just volunteer your time and grow my algorithm for me, right? You know. So I didn't even before, not too long ago, before I went to California, I probably would have been tempted to say, "Oh yeah, how much is it? Maybe I should try this. Maybe I can spend $40 a month and grow my platform and blah 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 blah." But no, that's not what I'm doing. God hasn't called me to do that. And I got a feeling there's more than one reason. I think it's part of it is that he does like the small. I don't like the idea of a large church. I like the idea of 20, 30 people maybe, where everybody knows everybody and you can really minister to people. I mean, gosh, right now I'm thinking of somebody that I know very well who's very involved in a church and loves church, and the pastor knows their name and everything, but doesn't know anything about what that person's going through. And that person has a lot of nonsense and horrible stuff in their life, right? That they could be helped with if someone knew who they were. But if since the people that are running the church don't know who they really are, I mean, they have barbecues and they have this and that, and they, oh yeah, they have Bible studies, but people don't really. They don't open their hearts, right? Not really. I mean, that's one thing. That's one good thing I did get from the 12-step program, at least when I was there. People do open their hearts because they're in a bad place, and that's how church should be. Anyway, the other response I got to that my Epstein thing was somebody said, "Well, you're the reason things don't get better." I don't know what they meant by that. I have no idea. That's a real cryptic thing to say to somebody. I can almost guarantee you, they haven't responded to my response yet, but I can almost guarantee you they didn't watch the video. And I used to do that. You see a headline, you get really mad, you just, the whole purpose of the video was to prove that people are drawn to salacious things, that they're drawn to things that are that meant to stir their hearts. And the whole point of the video, as in the Epstein files, there's a lot of ministries that try to do the clickbait and they want to be famous and they want to be plugged in and then grow because they're trying to grow their algorithm, right? And they're trying to be salacious instead of just being truthful and straight. I'm not saying they're liars. I'm not saying that. So anyway, I thought it was interesting, and I said, I surrender. I'm sorry. First of all, thank you for empowering me to be the reason that things aren't better. I didn't know I had that kind of power. Oh man, I thought only God had that kind of power. And I said, but the only better that I'm looking for is for people to come to Christ, to win the world for Christ. That's the better I'm looking for. I don't. At the end of the day, I don't really care about Epstein files. I mean, I care about some of the stuff that people are concerned about, sure, but that's not going to be a vital thing in eternity. Those people will pay for what they've done, right? God is not mocked, and sure, I think things are going to work out in that field on that particular instance. I'm going to sneeze, but anyway, I just said, that's not what makes the world better or worse, and I almost said, and I'll wait and see how that person responds, if they respond at all, because some people just fly by. They just fly by Facebook and they fly by YouTube and they just shoot as they're flying by, kind of like people throwing rocks at cars. They just shoot as you're flying by. I got to, but they don't really have any value. And one thing is, I'll say this to any of my YouTubers out there, and I've been guilty of this in the past too. Don't ever criticize a video unless you actually watch it, because a lot of times the purpose of the title is really, it is, I do want you to open it, but I do want you to say, what in the world does Epstein files have to do with ministry? I thought that would make me curious. That's all. I'm not trying to, I don't know, I'm not trying to be salacious or anything, but the point was what it was, right? The point was nothing really, and they shouldn't have anything to do with ministry. We shouldn't be involved. people that claim to be Christian shouldn't be so involved in tearing people down and mocking people and, the world. We need to be disconnected from the world as much as possible. We need to be connected to people, though. That's what I keep thinking, Oswald. But one of the guys that I read all the time says that we're not meant to be alone. We can only minister to people. God designed us to be with people, and we have to be with people. So going up and living on a hilltop and the monastery life is not really valuable unless you come down off the mountain and spend a lot of time with the people that you're supposedly. Because otherwise, you might as well just become a Buddhist and just take care of yourself. Because that's what Buddhism's all about. It's a very selfish lifestyle thought process. Even though it may help people because you're peaceful, but it's not going to help the people around you because it's not based on love. So yeah, the still small voice. Jesus is my algorithm, and even if there's one or two people, I'm blessed and grateful that you're here watching this, whoever is. I do appreciate good comments every now and then, but I even appreciate bad ones because it opens me up to think about things. So that's all I got for now, guys. I don't plan on the video ministry going anywhere right now. I mean, if it continues to go down, we might just close it. It's the purpose of the video ministry is different than what we're doing in the Philippines. I realize I'm in the Philippines. The purpose of the video ministry is mostly to reach Americans as a watchman on the wall, to pull people out of their churchiosity and their scholarshiposity and their mentalosity into the real world of simplicity of the cross and following Jesus and loving others and making disciples of the world. That's the whole purpose of this ministry right here. And I realize that it's not very popular because it's just not very popular. But it doesn't matter because truth is not based on popularity. Truth is based on the Lord. God bless you guys.